Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. This video will be a continuation of the previous videos about the engine, so I won't explain why we are at this stage, but I'm going to continue on the rebuild of the 2CV engine or the AZU engine. It will be a mix-up of all the parts from two engines. Actually pretty much all the internal parts from the original engine from the AZU and then the engine block from the donor one. I have cleaned the stuff up, made sure that the oil cooler, for instance, is not blocked and so on. All that is done off camera. And now I'm going to start to reassemble the engine. Nope, it's not a moped. This is the crankshaft from the 2CV. It's the original one from the AZU engine. I checked it over. I haven't done much. I haven't measured anything, but all seems very nice. There is no play in the connecting rods, which is normally an issue. The bearing surface is really nice. The bearings looks decent, used of course, but very decent, especially considering this is an engine without an oil filter. So I have just cleaned it up. I'm gonna grease it up. As you can see, this bearing in here is a little bit difficult to change. You have to take the whole assembly apart. The other one out here just slides off, so that's a bit more easy. But I'm gonna grease it up using assembly grease. Make sure that it's completely covered in that. Then reinstall the bearing and install the entire assembly onto or into the engine block. These holes, you can see, are the location dowels for the bearings. That's a bit different than what you normally do on an engine. But there's actually a dowel that goes into that hole and keeps the bearing in place. I got a video somewhere in my catalog. It's probably 4 years old, so it's one of the early ones, where the block or the bearing had started to spin in the engine, and that had just enlarged that hole almost all the way around. That was pretty impressive. And on the engine block, we got the location dowels right there for the crankshaft. And I'm just going to install that crankshaft now. There we go. It's in. Next up, I want to install the camshaft. And on the 602 engines, it's very easy to find the marks. I had a hard time finding it on this one. But right there is a mark. And on the camshaft, it is a bit easier to find. It's right there. So I'm going to install this also. Like that. Nope. Oh yeah, it's fine. So that's the crankcase back together. But I haven't changed the main seals on the crankshaft, but I will do that, but I don't have them. I forgot to order them. I also need a special thing to pull this one off. That's also on its way. When that comes, I can change that, but I can do everything else except putting the gearbox and so on. So I'm just going to continue and then change that oil seals later on. Yeah, I could probably actually use the old one. They are okay softish, but it's just, it would be such a shame to have it drip from there. They are not very expensive, so I'm going to change them, but I'm just going to continue to fit everything else. So it's pretty clear that something was wrong before, now that I assemble this one, because it is fitting together way easier. I thought it was a bit more of a tight fit on these, but it's not. It's just, yeah. It's coming together nicely. I'm just going to fit these loosely because I want to fit the manifold before getting it all the way down. And now I'm fitting the exhaust and intake manifold. And I'm going to tighten that down before I torque down the cylinder heads, because otherwise there's quite a high possibility of an exhaust leak, because this cylinder head can be tightened in different positions because there's a lot of give in the kingpins. And that would make this flange not parallel to this one, and therefore you will have an exhaust leak very likely. So a good thing is to tighten it down before torquing down the cylinder heads. And I think we have a problem. There is a broken thread on this one. I would prefer to use a helicoil, but I do not have the correct size, and it will work just fine in the oversize also. That will do. Oh, should I have the engine covers on for this? I might have to do that. I actually think I have. Yeah, I have to. But that doesn't really matter much. I can torque down the cylinder heads now, and then I can remove this afterwards, and then everything should be aligned. Then I can remove the manifold again, torque it to the next stage, and then put on the engine covers. There we go. That's good. So that's the timing stuff done, but it's not set, and I'm not gonna set it before I fit the flywheel, and I'm not gonna fit the flywheel before I change the main oil seal back there. So this will have to wait, but it's there, and I'm not gonna put the cover on before I set the timing, because I need to set the clearance at the points and make sure it's at the right place also. I'm also not going to fit the dynamo stuff right now because I need to remove that to fix the seal in here, and that will be later also. So the last thing I'm going to do today is to set the valve timing. And I will start by adjusting the inlet on this side of the engine. To do that, I will spin the engine until the opposite side is completely depressed. That's right there. And then I can take my feeler gauge. I'm setting the valve to 0.20, and then I will see if I can fit it between, and I can't. So I will loosen up this 10mm bolt like that and adjust. Right around there is the magic spot. And I'm going to tighten it up and recheck, because that can sometimes alter things a little bit. There we go. So now I'm going to spin the engine over. So this one is completely depressed, and then I can adjust the other one. A tip, but if you fit your spanner to this, it makes it a little bit easier to see the movement. I'm going to spin the engine. Now you can see it moves. I'm just going to find the spot where it's lowest down or highest up, considering what point you're looking at. Right there, and then I can adjust it on the other side. And then I'm going to spin the engine until the opposite side of the exhaust is fully depressed. That's right around there. And then I'm going to set the exhaust valve to 0.25. Like this. And then spin the engine over until this one is fully closed. Right there. And adjust the other side. And then I can close this part of the engine up. When this engine has run for a while, it would probably be wise to recheck the valve clearances. So this is coming off soon again. But for now, it's job done. So a lot of progress. The engine is back together somewhat. There's still a lot of small stuff that needs to be fitted, covers that needs to be screwed together and all that. But the next thing I want to do is the oil seals and the clutch and all that. And they are in the mail, so it will have to be in the next video. Thank you for watching this video. Let's hope that this engine is up for it. As mentioned, it's not a complete rebuild. There is stuff that you could have changed. The camshaft had a little bit of wear in it, and the buckets also had a little bit of wear in it. It's not a complete rebuild, it's a revival, but this part of this revival did spiral a little bit out of control because of the mishap that I had with the engine block on the other one. Now we're back on track. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can support me on Patreon. There's a link down below, and see you in the next one.